Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Work and Talk podcast, the podcast for tradespeople by tradespeople, where we build builders. And this week, we're very excited to have Jimmy Spire of Glasshouse with us, CEO and founder, and he's going to help each and every one of us, especially electricians, for when we jump into contracting. We were promised all this work. We're in such a high demand field. But now that we're a contractor, we're looking at our calendar and it's open. We're trying to make some calls. We're trying to find some clients, and the phones just aren't ringing. Today, we're going to go over different ways on how we're going to tackle that. And Jimmy is the perfect example on how we're going to have a forward-thinking approach to that. Jimmy, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Wilson. Thanks for having me, man.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And I was already sold. Once I read exactly how Glasshouse was going to tackle this problem, especially when it comes to marketing and the sales, I already knew it was a shoo-in. And I really want to hear from you how this all began. Because just to put things into context, me as a contractor, we are in a reactive market. Me as an electrician, I'm usually waiting for something to break. And when I'm a full-time employee, that was fine. You know, if somebody once a week called me and say, hey, my ceiling fan doesn't work, or hey, an outlet's not working. As side work, I was always busy and I always had some free cash. Now that I made this my role, my job, you know, my family's on the line, I have employees on the line, and now the schedule's open and I don't know how to find something that's broken. I'm in this world of, I don't know what to do. And it seems like you found that solution. And I just want to hear your story and how we're going to approach that together.
Thank you. Yeah, the solution, or one of, there's probably a lot of ways to solve a lot of different problems, right? But yeah, I think something you said there, like when I would do these side hustles and things like that, and it's the difference between building a business and building a job, right? So if you need to take care of yourself, you could probably piece that together with just like high demand inbound, kind of like, I'm just trying to create myself a job. There's enough business in a market, most of our markets, I'm guessing, to always have a job. But if you want to build a business, then you have to scale it. And that means you have to keep other people busy, because like greatness is in the agency of others. You have to make them all super successful, and then you can build a successful business, which means you have to be busy a lot. And I found in the home service space that it's growing way faster than the rest of the economy. I know there's a lot of talk about like skilled trade shortages, and that's a real thing, right? So like that means you'll always be able to get employment, but it's also becoming an incredibly competitive market. And that's the difference between, getting a job and competitive business markets. And so lots more people are entering these markets. PE firms and all this stuff are investing, and they're bidding up the prices on stuff, right? It's just getting really expensive. And my background is not in the trades. I was never an electrician or plumber, HVAC tech. Like I never did those jobs. I did roofing one summer in high school, and I was super bad at it. It was in Texas, and it was like 120 degrees, and we're like tarring a roof, like a commercial roof. It was like miserable. And I was like, it's probably not what I'm going to do for my life. And what I ended up doing a lot for like 10, 13 years was helping build sales organizations at software companies for other people. And so I built three, I would say, badass sales teams, and we sold $65 million worth of software. And it was like really successful. And when I found myself in the home service space, I wanted to start a business. Like I was passionate about starting a business. I was passionate about small to medium-sized businesses. I don't care about like Fortune 50 companies. That doesn't get me very excited. And I worked in hospitality technology and medical device and all these other things. And I found the home service space because I was just looking around for an area where I could maybe make an impact that met my criteria, which is I wanted it to be like small to medium-sized businesses by and large. And I like service-minded organizations, because I like to be in the service of my team. And so that kind of flows through. And so I found home services. I was like, oh, this looks really interesting. And I met a bunch of people, and I really like the space. And so I just started asking questions like, what is your biggest problem? Like, what's your biggest problem? And the same answer came back over and over again. I need more leads. I need more business. I need more customers. Like, okay, why? Like, tell me more about your business. Like, how do you get them today? And how does this work? And how do you find people? And what I've really heard over and over again was they find me. And it just seemed like the whole world was built on I have to be found. And that was really the opposite of my experience in sales, where my background in sales was always to go and find the people you want. And it was just like, it seemed weird to me. I'm like, okay, so this whole industry is built on outsourced marketing agencies who help you get found. Okay, well, I'm sure there's a place for that. But if you're all doing the same thing, then it can't work that great for everybody all the time. Like, I'm sure the biggest players probably have a really great advantage now. I bet you the biggest electrician companies, the biggest plumbings, the biggest HVAC companies probably love this model because they just spend all the money and they get all the leads, right? And so I just kept picking at that. I was asking questions, and they're like, "You don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Well, I definitely don't know what I'm talking about, but like, I want to keep asking questions and learn." And by the way, I've had this conversation 3,000 times now in the last 2 years, and so we've learned a little bit of stuff along the way. And I kept asking, like, "Well, why don't you go outbound?" And they're like, "What is that?" They're like, "What do you mean go outbound?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean go outbound?" I'm like, "Why don't you go find people you want to work with and get in front of them and say, I want to offer my services?" Worst they can say is no. You showed up with no business, you leave with no business. You have what you started with. It's okay. And they just didn't, it just was very clear to me that that was not a very active motion in the industry. Although I would talk to like 1 in 100 and they'd be like, "Yeah, we're doing that. It's like our secret weapon." I'm like, "Cool. How do you do that?" And it sounded horrifying. Like, "Well, we got to go buy a bunch of data from data brokers, and we got to do all this stuff. We got to stitch all these things together." Basically, all they did was just like rip phone calls. I got to hire these people, just rip phone calls. I'm like, there's probably got to be a better way to do that. Anyway, it's a super long answer, Wilson. But like, I got into it because I wanted to solve an industry that seemed really interesting's biggest problems, one of them. And it seemed like there was a very clear path to me to say, oh, there is enough work in the market if you go and pull it forward to you. But if you are just sitting in a reactive motion, then you might be waiting for the phone to ring forever. And so that was terrifying to me as a business owner myself. And I own a home service business now. I bought one. We built a home service business along the way to learn more about this and also show my customers, like, I'm in this with you, right? Like, I care. I was like, if we're just going to wait for the phone to ring, that seems really out of control to me. Like, it seems like I'm not in control of that. And I'm just like control freak. I let somebody else drive the car when I'm in it, right? So I'm not going to let the whims of Google decide if I have leads or not. I'm going to go get them.
I love that. Especially you spoke directly to every pain point, especially as an electrician, how they feel waiting for that phone to that is, and I go even deeper than that because I tell people, as we mentioned before, as a full-time employee, so if one person a month called you to ask for a favor, you got a side work, so you got 400 or 500 extra bucks in your pocket, you feel good. You're like, okay. The scary part is when you jump full off the boat into contracting yourself.
Mhm.
And now you're dependent on that one call per day. And that's one call landed per day to feel good about yourself. So, and I feel like that's one of the biggest pain points. And I know you touched on part of the culture, hey, how the industry's changing, there's a shortage. But that goes to also the type of culture that we've developed. You spoke to all these contractors and they all had the same pain points. And it seems like contracting is so slow to keep up with the times. I love how you mentioned how you worked in all these other industries as well, because, I have a business advisor and I've traveled the US with him. I met all these other types of successful business owners with Patrick Bet David. And every time I tell someone, oh, I am an electrical contractor, it's always like, oh, nice, good for you. It's still not taken serious as a genuine business because of that approach, Like when I tell Pat and he's like, well, how are you getting leads now? I'm like, oh, when things break, they look us up. And he's like, that, how do you waking up should be fearful right now because you don't know if you got
Your
work or
eyes
not.
open in the morning, you're like, am I going to have any work today? That sounds horrifying to me.
That's what I'm saying. It's genuine. It's like, imagine quitting your job. That's why, for a lot of people listening, if you guys got wives at home, you got to give it to them more because imagine quitting your job and saying, I'm going to open up a business. But then you quit your job, open up a business that's dependent on people being reactive. That's even worst case scenario now.
Yeah. The other thing you said there that was, I get the gist of and being in this industry is like that thing about like you tell somebody you're a contractor this and like, oh, and I'm like, that's bullshit. Like to me, like it's bullshit for a bunch of reasons. One is like super important work that actually makes the whole world work, right? And most of me, like I can't change up my electrical box. I can't like fix my HVAC unit. So I'm just gonna sweat to death with no electricity if those things break, right? So it's really important. It's a service industry, so you're in the service of others, which is I think, for me, meaningful work.
Yeah,
And then
perfect.
the other is you can build really good businesses in these spaces. Like people are secretly out there with like 1, 2, 10, 20, $100 million. I met with the Apex group. They have like Wrench Group, like these giant $1 billion companies. I've talked to a couple of them. I'm like, you've I talked to a HVAC company in Tampa. They do $60 million a year. They start from zero every year. They do 60 million of HVACs a
Insane.
year. That's a really good business and a really high margin business for them. It's awesome. So people, and I talked to a roofer. I work with a lot of roofers too, and they were talking to me and one of my colleagues. We're at a trade show and we're chatting with him, and he's like, my colleague was like, what's the worst part of this whole gig? He's like, dude, if you don't care that your neighbors are going to be like, oh, he's only a roofer, you're going to make so much money. It doesn't matter. Like he lived in a really nice house. Like he was making a killing in roofing. You just have to get past that caring what other people think
Yep.
garbage headspace and be like, the people who think that way, well, that's their problem.
Hmm.
That's not my problem. I don't care
Yep.
what they think about me because I'm doing meaningful work that makes real money, by the way. And if you build a really good business, go past that, build myself a job and build a business, give me a really good business.
I like how you broke that down because once again, it goes back to that stigma of I've been doing this for 30 years. There's nothing you can tell me. I've been doing this that's just the way it is. That's just the industry. And it's like, no, we're coming to a part where there are proactive things that you can do, like going door to door. And I want to hear how Glasshouse is going to help us get into that now,
Mhm.
because going to door, like you just mentioned, that's already not our forte.
Mhm.
Because what type of people are contractors? We're the C or D students. We're not big on presentation. We found value from our hands. So now
Mhm.
you're saying, hey, go door to door and you might get the door slammed on you. That's not attractive to somebody who just like, I just want to build. So you're taking that hassle out of it and you're bringing a new approach to it. You want to talk about that a little?
Yeah. So when you think about how are you going to get business if I'm not going to be reactive, if I'm not going to let the Google machine find me and my reviews and all that stuff, if I actually want to go try to create business, then it gets real uncomfortable real fast because the only real option for you is to do what you said, like go to door, or you go like stand at a local fair or something. And like, it's either like super low return at the fair, I promise, or it's super uncomfortable, like knocking on someone's door, interrupting their day. And a lot of people don't get into the trades. Most electricians that I've met with didn't get into that work to go do that part. That's not what they wanted to do, right? They want to go do their trade, and that's what they're passionate about. And like the job well done, work with their hands. And knocking on a door is not the same as working with your hands. And so what we do when we work with contractors is we help them basically kind of digitize that process so that they can take themselves out of it a lot, actually. So you can say, okay, we're coming to Jimmy's neighborhood and we really want to contact the neighborhood and let them know we're going to be here. And my only options right now, as I know them, are to send everybody a letter that they're going to throw in the garbage or knock on their door. So they might not be there, or they don't want to talk to me. Or if you're in my neighborhood, there's this big sign that says no solicit. And so you're just going to like make people upset, generally speaking. Or it's just not your game. It's just not how you want to do it. And so we help our customers actually digitally door knock. And so they email and they text into the neighborhood. It's super low touch, right? But it gives that scale. There's a lot of numbers there. Like you get a lot of scale, so you get a lot of interest, and you're able to build a brand and build outreach and build those touches without having to do that door knocking process. And then if you are in the neighborhood and you've reached out to them and you do want to talk to the 3 houses closest by, that's now the second time you've talked to those people. It's the second touch, not the first one. They know your brand
Exactly.
already. And that was what I was hoping to help in this industry, was bringing like digital tooling, software is, I like to tell my team, no one wants to buy software. Like we sell software. Guess what? No one wants to buy software. They want a problem solved. They're not buying software and hanging it up on the wall, like, look at this amazing software. It's like art. And like, they're not admiring it for its aesthetic beauty. They are buying a solution to a problem. The problem is I need to be proactive because it's a competitive market, and being reactive is like scary and doesn't give me certainty of outcome. But the options available to me suck. They suck super bad, and no one wants to do them. No one wants to go. It's 20 degrees in Nashville today. Nobody wants to be out there knocking doors. That's
Yep.
where I live. But if I can, a tool that makes this easy enough to do and fast enough and efficient, and I actually help solve my problem, then great, let's do that. But the
Mhm.
problem to be solved is like, how do I get more control of this situation? And then software is a means to an end.
I love that. And I love that forward thinking because, like you said, this is a pain point. This is genuinely a pain point a lot of contractors have. And I feel like a lot of people don't get into contracting because they know something like that isn't guaranteed.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people who just genuinely wish that there was a better way. And then that's also a nice approach that you can take, and it can really set the foundation for you. Because what I love about it, and the idea and the concept of it, is that's setting the foundation for you to actually start a sales team, right? You can be a solo mom and pop shop and still have Glasshouse be a part of your business in the area that you're going to be tackling.
Mhm.
And as you grow, you can have people now do outreach in different areas, but it definitely gives you the tools. Definitely gives you the opportunity to set a solid foundation once you're ready to make that leap. Because once
Mhm.
again, you're going to be conflicting with the culture of, I've been doing this for 30 years, and the unknown, and you don't know what you don't know. So why it's a risk to jump it. All these, you're going to have more questions in your head. Yet the
There's
reality is your business is going to stay the same, if that makes sense. That's the sad part about contracting, I feel like.
the thing you said there that I appreciate is like, you don't know what, like, oh, this is how it's always been, and for 30, it's like, okay, those are self-limiting beliefs. I learned this talk track or sales objection overcome, whatever it is. If you like, you probably train your techs when you're in the house. If you offer three options, if they say no to this one, and you do some training around sales and sales objections, it's a thing, right? Like, how do you answer the questions? And the questions sometimes I would get, especially when we really first started doing this, like, so we're going to be able to text the neighbors and get in their house. So I'm like, nobody wants to text. I was like, okay, cool. Well, then you can email them. Like, well, nah, no one looks at their email. I'm like, okay. So let's just go down the train. Let's start at the beginning. So no one wants you to text them. I'm like, well, that might be true, but some people do. Like, I prefer to have that, but that's okay. So you can email them. Nobody looks at their email. I'm like, okay, then I guess you're just going to be back to mailing them stuff. I'm like, that stuff doesn't work. I'm like, okay, I guess you have to knock on their door. Like, no, people don't want door knockers anymore. I'm like, okay, so then give up.
Yeah.
All
At
you're
that
If
point,
you're just going to say that nothing works, then give up. When
and what are
To
we
me, the
doing here?
person who says that nothing works, no, you don't work, because
Yeah.
things do work. You just
Yeah.
have to do them.
That's so true. I like how you said that. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get too crazy, but I remember it was like when we were younger, my sister was like, there's no good guys out there. And then it was like, oh, so you dated every guy out there, right? It's like, no, it's just the cream of the crop that you be picking is now limiting. That's a whole
Self-limiting
nother.
beliefs around things
Yep.
can't work. They definitely can't if you don't do them. I promise. Guaranteed outcome. Don't do it.
I appreciate that. So, what are you seeing? What's the reaction to it, especially when because once again, if you have a software, if you have a solution to someone's pain point,
Mhm.
as you can imagine, the number one thing you have to see, you have to develop that. Because I always say a knife in the hand of a chef is a useful tool. A knife in the hands of an idiot can cause some harm.
Mhm.
And we just talked about self limiting beliefs. If you're not ready to put yourself in a situation, no matter what solution you have, it's not going to work because you're
Mhm.
you're always limiting yourself. What have you seen, or what are your experiences with companies who are saying, you know what, I'm tired of feeling like this. You know what, I'm tired of being reactive. I'm going to take initiative. Let me jump on board. What has those experiences been for you?
So it varied across all home service industries. It's really interesting because we work with contractors and trades. We also work with, pest control companies and roofers. And, I said I started a home service business along the way. So we have a window washing franchise, actually. We bought a franchise because we didn't know anything. We're like, cool, this will give us some help. And so it's really interesting how it varies across all those industries. In my own business, what I've seen is I'm able to run basically lead collection, customer collection at about 30 to 40% cheaper than my peers in my same system.
Wow.
Same business, same everything, same ads. There's no difference except for this. And where they're paying $100 for a lead, I'd be paying like 45, right? So it could be 30, 40, 50% cheaper. It varies throughout the year. But being able to actually get business blended across my business at a much cheaper rate, it makes my leads more profitable, right? So when I do close that business, which I do, then it's a more profitable piece of business. That's really cool. I've seen roofing companies, I've seen HVAC companies go from we don't know how to do outbound to we just booked 75 inspections this month from outbound.
Wow.
Like, but you have to, like, they had to basically embrace this concept, like, we're going outbound. Now I'm in the house. Now what can I do? We got to get better at upselling. Okay, so I've seen businesses actually take this as, ooh, this is going to be a strategy, and this is going to be like part of our way we do business now. And then that leads into, oh, now we got to get better at diagnosing things when we're in the house that we were looking for, because we used to just answer the call and fix the one thing. Now we got to find things. Okay, cool. Let's get better at that. That's a good skill no matter what you do. Oh, now we got to be able to present pricing better in a way that it gives options. And oh, well, that's never going to hurt us. Oh, now we got to be able to close these things and convert them into, oh, now we got to do follow up with the other. We got 75 of these things, 65 of them didn't need anything except an inspection today. So what? Well, we got to get better at follow up. We got to get better at everything. This was the start of all of those betters. So I've seen that in all kinds of businesses.
And I tell everybody, you don't need to have all the answers. You just need the next step, because the next problem, the next solution, the next pain point is going to present itself after you take that next step. Mm-hmm. But once again, I can't stress enough on how upsetting it is of the potential contracting has, blue collar work has, home service businesses have. And then individuals are afraid. People genuinely have an idea of a feeling or an idea of an outcome that literally limits themselves from taking action. A thought is stopping somebody from saying, no, this is what I want to do. And what upsets me so much when it comes to contracting is there's individuals who love electrical, who love to work with their hands, and they hated business. And business chewed them up, spit them out, and then they ended up closing down shop. And these guys are like, F this, F that. The one thing that they loved, it turned to hate just because they didn't understand the room of growth and the importance of self-developing in these scenarios. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm really am appreciative of all of this. What are some other insights? What are some other takeaways that if someone's listening, if someone's thinking about becoming a contractor, if someone's already a contractor going through these pain points, what are some things that you want him to know to walk him through this scenario?
So I have this concept that I think simplifies like thinking about being a growth business. So for one, I believe in being a mission-driven organization. So if you're thinking about starting a business, turning your side hustle into a business or expanding your business, like having a mission that your whole organization can believe in is very unifying. And what the money, by the way, is not the mission. So I don't believe that money can be your mission. I think you have to have a mission. So ours is to help home service businesses win, right? Like what we say here. So everybody who takes a job at this company, and I interview every single one of them, it's like a really hard interview. I'm like, here's why you don't want to work here. Like all that stuff, right? Like, because and I tell them this is the goals and this is the mission and here's the values of the business. You have to align to those or you will hate it here and you'll quit or we'll fire you. So don't come if you don't like this. So you should have a mission, and then money is the byproduct of being successful at that, right? So if your mission is just to make money, it's not very motivating for everybody. I mean, people can be money motivated, but once you get the money, you're kind of like, now what? So if the mission is like this constant improvement thing, then you can go on forever. So start with this mission. Then what you can do is you can say, okay, now that we all know we're trying to do this thing, we want to be like, improve the quality of life of people in our town with this methodology. That's great. Then you say, well, now I got to build a business to do that because it's not just a me thing, it's an organizational thing. And I want to get bigger. And the reason you want to get bigger a lot of times is because there's an ego sense of like, I'm a bigger, and also you can make more money, which makes life a little bit easier and that makes you feel good. But growth is really important to the organization because a growth-minded organization and the growth that's happening with the business, it unlocks all these doors for everybody. Like as you're growing, you're getting more money to invest in your team, and then you can give them better tools and better training, and you can open up new markets and you have nicer trucks, and all the stuff that they want comes from growing the business, and then they get opportunities to grow in their career too, right? Like I went from being a salesperson to a chief revenue officer at a company, and it was because the business was growing, and I get to grow with it. It was really, really meaningful work, right? It was really rewarding financially too. So then we got to be growth minded, and you can tie those two things together. If we have a mission driven organization and we're all pointed at solving this big problem, and then we're trying to grow the business as much and as fast as we're comfortable to do, then that will unlock all these doors for everybody along the way. And that to me is like a big jump between going from I want to have an idea of a job to I want to build this company, I want to build this business that will basically ultimately provide for all these other people. my favorite, like we measure a lot of stuff at my company. It's a very numbers driven thing because it's software. And my favorite number is 63 right now. It'll change because that's the number of people at the families of the employees that are being funded by the growth of this organization. So there's 63 people taking vacations. Some of them go to college, 63 Sunday dinners every week. That's all coming from the success that we can drive in this business because we
Wow.
pointed at a mission and then we try to grow. So that'd
I
be
love that.
kind of one of the things I think about.
I love that. And it goes back to what you said before. If you're in a position to have that mission statement, to work towards a goal, have that genuine purpose, you're going to look for ways to grow. You're going to look for ways to be of service to others. And if you are waking up feeling bogged down, there's no calls, you're worried, you're keeping your guys on jobs because you don't have somewhere else to put them, or you can't give them their full 40-hour work week.
Mhm.
Even though you're going through those times, but if you have that mission, purposeful, driven, you're going to keep fighting for that because that's what you want to do at the end of the day, and everyone can feel that. But if you start getting negative, if you don't want to change and you're like, this is just the way it is, guys, we don't have a full week, so go home. That type of energy, true or not, the team's going to be like, this guy doesn't care. This guy doesn't care about me. If I need a full 40 to take care of my family so we can have those Sunday dinners. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's contagious at that point. So that's why I love conversations like these, because we're genuinely having and helping individuals understand the areas that they may not know that they need help in. Once again, there's a big phrase that I keep saying is you don't know what you don't know. You don't know you need that because you never asked yourself that one question. Now you're like, oh, I might need that. Or if it doesn't work, then that's fine. But I think we can all speak and attest to the pain points of contractors. If you're waking up and you're an electrician, or if you're an electrical contractor and you don't know how to keep your schedule full, you're going to feel some pain. If you can't give a full 40 hours to your techs in the field, you're going to feel some pain.
Mhm.
If you, as the homeowner, have a problem and you need help, and then there's a contractor who needs a schedule fill, that's why this service is so valuable, because now we're putting A to B. We're putting pen to paper. We're putting a solution to a situation. And I just want to let you know that I'm very excited for this month to come to see how everything starts rolling out with Glasshouse and our personal electrical contracting business, because that's such a need, and everybody has the same pain points, and it feels like everybody just says, throw more money at marketing, throw more money, and it's like I'm not seeing anything. So
I'm sure that the marketing agency loves that. I'm sure Google actually loves to hear that. They're probably dancing a jig about your problems that money will solve, according to them. But
just keep throwing it. Yeah,
it's the same problem that's been going on for a long time. So I just don't think that the current solutions are going to be the answer to the problem that has just been going on forever.
Exactly. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how everything goes on, how everything develops, and I can't wait to document that journey with you. Any other final thoughts you want to give to the audience? Anything specific you want to share with anybody before we wrap up?
Yeah. So if I'm talking to an electrician right now and they say, Jimmy, I want to grow my business from A to B, I'm like, cool, set the number. So if you don't have a target, set a target. Like, first question I ask every single person I've talked to about, like, if they're interested in partnering with us, working with us, I'm like, cool, what's your revenue right now and what are you trying to get to? Right? Because we want to start at the top of the funnel. We want to start people's, like, how much money can we help you make? Because again, that growth of your business will fund all the other successful things you do and the mission, all that good stuff, right? And so whatever the number is, and we can back into it. And there's actually a really simple way to think about how you grow a business. And I invented this, I think, a long time ago. And it's called the Disney Prince model of revenue growth. It's really easy. You just remember these 4 things, okay? So if you want to grow your business, you can kiss more frogs, okay? Does it talk to more people, right? Kiss more frogs. And so you talk to those people. You do it through email, text, phone calls, knock on the doors. Just talk to more people. If you have more leads, if you get more opportunities to get in front of people, that's kissing more frogs. Good things will happen. Find more princes, okay? So within all those frogs, The person who gets the most no's will get the most yeses, I promise. So find more princes than those frogs. So win more. And then bigger castles, richer princes. So a lot of people get caught up in the first deal value, not the lifetime value. So if you can get in front of people and sell them something and do good work, you can sell them more stuff and do more good work, more stuff. Something else will break eventually, I promise. Everything does.
Right.
And then you can fast forward the movie, do it all faster. There's 4 things. If you improved 4 metrics of your business in your sales process, think about this. This is math and it's kind of wild. If you said, I need to get more leads, I need to win more, I need to get 10% more out of my customers over their lifetime, and then I want to qualify, I want to come back to them and I want to do it all 10% faster, essentially. If you improve those 4 metrics by 10%, and I don't mean like take it from 20% to 30, I just mean take it from 20% to 22%, each one by 10% of its own number, and compound that across your business, and pick whatever 4 you want, I really don't care. But pick 4 things that connect to each other, 47% improvement in your business. So if you want to grow your business next year by almost 50%, then find 4 metrics in your business that tie together and improve them each a little bit.
I like that.
Pick one today. Start with 1. You can't do all 4 at once, by the way. Pick one thing and say, we are going to get 10% more people to talk to from now on. Like, well, how many people do we talk to a month? We talk to 100. Cool. You're telling me that we can't find 10 more people to talk to that are like homeowners a month? Hell yeah, we can. Cool. We win 25% of the business we talk to. I'm like, cool. Can we win 27.5%? Hell yeah, you can. Let's practice a little bit more. Can we go from charging $500 to $550 for what we sell? It's not even that much money. The world's real expensive now. That's not that much money. Yes, hell yeah, we get $50 more, right? Can we move 10% faster through this whole process and get in and out so we can do more jobs? Yeah, we probably can. Cool. 50% more revenue next year. Done.
I love that. I love that. I love that. It literally breaks it down to those different 4 pillars. And then I love the fact that you say you don't need to do it at the same time. That's because anybody who's listening, just pick one, pick that weak point. And that's just the concept. That's a principle of life too, you know? I love that.
Just pick one thing and make it a little bit better.
Man, I really do appreciate that. Jimmy, it was a pleasure. I'm super excited for what's to come. How can people learn more about what you're doing and how to get in contact with you if they want more information?
Absolutely. We're easy to find. Glasshouse.biz, B-I-Z, and you get videos on a website. We'll get on a demo and talk to you.